Building Men is brought to you by Finish the Race Apparel, FTRapparel.com, the creators of all things building men, and by Become Stronger Industries, become-stronger.com, the creators of handmade steel maces, hammers, and other badass equipment.
So if I can live my life and say, what does a confident person do? How do they show up every single day? Are they passive or are they assertive? Are they direct with their conversations? Are they decisive? And so I'm like, this is what a confident person, how they would approach every single moment. This is what confidence is. That's all it takes. It's just that belief in yourself.
You're listening to the Building Men podcast with Dennis and Anthony Miralda, brothers on a mission
to help you become the strongest version of yourself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
You want to start off?
Hey, brother.
What's up?
What's up, brother? How do you usually start off?
Well, when it's you and I on together, I'm like, what's up, bro? What's up, brother?
Good morning, everybody.
Then when you're not, I struggle with what do I do? Hello and welcome to hello
there and welcome to
and welcome to, like, I don't know what to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
I always fumble around with.
You're listening to the Building Men podcast.
I know. I don't want to be all serious. I don't want to be like super cheesy, like a radio guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, hey,
we are live. Good morning, everybody. You're listening to WNBC.
Let's get ready to get ready. So yeah, I don't know how to. I still haven't mastered that yet. It's something that I'm challenged with. The exact phrase, the tagline, it's sitting out there for me somewhere in the universe. I haven't pulled it down and put it into my mouth yet.
I know that feeling, but you know what? Keep trying. Keep putting stuff in your mouth, and you're gonna find one that fits and feels right and is just tastes.
Do you like that?
Delicious
Layup.
I love that. I love that.
So this is our last official recording from the studio. It's very, it's an emotional experience as I sit around and I look out in the studio that we sit in right now with everything that's gone wrong over the past year with our studio.
All the things that we didn't utilize that we thought were the coolest things ever.
Absolutely.
We're like, we're going to put fucking, a Star Wars background behind us. We're going to use sound drops all the time. We had everything set up. It was just fart noises.
A million different things. We're going to have Chris Farley. Brother's got a hug. Yeah. Like, you were going to have him in the background. There was going to be a million different things.
We had a lot of aspirations.
But you know what, to our credit, we've been in the studio for a little bit longer than a year and a hook. Quick aside, I love using the hook.
Oh, I use that all the time. I'll be there in like 20 and a hook, or I'll be,
7 and a hook,
like
whatever it is, just like it's a little bit more.
Sorry.
Perfect. So that does fit in your mouth. The microphone does. Now we know it fits in your mouth.
I'm trying to fit everything around me in my mouth now, just to. It all checks out.
Right. So far, so good. 100% compliance here. So that whole thing of a hook. It's funny, when I was staying at Tara's house in Lavalette, as the divorce was happening, I needed a place to stay as the place where I'm living now is getting renovated. I was living in Lavalette, so it was like an hour drive from where I am right now, and it was the winter time, so it was on the Jersey Shore. It was kind of depressing time, but I was doing my best to make the most of the situation. And I remember when Julie would come to the beach, the clock down there, I mean, it was like a little tiny bungalow. It was great for for that time of my life. It was cool for me to go back and relive that. But everything in Lavalette was a little bit, it was like dated. It's like a 70s beach house, and the clock in the house was wrong. They have like 3 clocks and they're all wrong in different directions, right? So say it's 5 o'clock. One clock is like 4:42. One clock is like 5:11 and one clock is 6:12, right? So you never knew what time it was. And so we called it hook time because it was like 5 and a hook. And so we just wound up calling it hook time when we were down in Lavalette.
So you could get around what
it's actually... like 5 hook time.
5.
It's like it could be 4:48, it could be 5:12.
Anywhere around there. But it covers,
give or take an hour and a hook.
It all. Yeah, that's perfect. It's so much easier to tell time that way rather than trying to get that specific time, You just...
It's a hook time.
4 and a hook.
4 and a hook.
And it's easy when you're going somewhere, too. What time you'll be there? you know?
I always wondered why Tara and Jimmy were late to everything.
Yeah.
You always, we called it Millette time for a while.
So a hook is what, 15 minutes? That's kind of where
I would say 15 minutes. I would say a quarter of whatever.
Yeah.
So like, say if it's like, if you're talking about inches, say, you know, like whatever in a hook. 12 and a hook. You're using inches, right? So like you could say like
I've used that several times. Yeah.
A quarter. You know, if you're like, this is 3 of me, it's 12 and a hook, right?
Yeah.
It's. I would think it like would be a quarter past whatever the thing is around a quarter. So if it's minutes, it's 15. If it's inches, it's a quarter inch, give or take. Like even if it's a dollar, like $1 and a hook, it would be like $1.08.
Yeah,
you know, something along those lines. We never talked about the hook here.
I've used it so many times in my life, and now I know where it came from.
Yes,
so I appreciate that.
That's where it comes from.
That's really good.
So back to the studio, when we're looking around, I mentioned before, it feels like Breaking Bad. I won't give away the ending if you haven't. You know what? No, if you haven't seen the ending of Breaking Bad right now, that's your own problem.
Or shut up.
So here, like at the end, when Walter White, after he got shot by his own gun from the trunk of the car, and he's walking around. Jesse escapes, and he's walking around, and he's looking at the meth lab, and they're playing Baby Blue is the song in the background, and he's like looking around and like, I did it. I beat the system. I'm not dying from cancer right now. I'm dying from my lifestyle, and my family's taken care of with 10 and a hook $1 million in the bank right now. And I'm having that moment as I'm looking around right now. It wasn't perfect by any means. There were so many times that things went wrong and we were frustrated. And I analogize it to Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase when he's with the lights outside and he's going around and he's putting every freaking cord together to make it happen. And then finally it works and the lights go on and the angels start to sing in the background. It felt like that today.
Yep.
Our last day in the studio, we just interviewed Ryan Blair, who would have been a recent episode. Unbelievable guest. But everything worked, and I plugged in the cord and the camera goes on, and then this happens and the sound goes on and the internet connects, and we're like, we did it. We finally made it, and this is our last episode.
It's sad that it took this long to get to where we are today, but it made it that much better when things would work, because they wouldn't work all the time. So it was like all it had to do was just perform at or near expected, and we were impressed and really happy, which if it worked every time, then we would expect a lot more out of it. So you know, we like to live in that subpar area.
Right. So there's so much more coming in the future. We'll talk about it before the end of the episode. And we just press record. There was no plan for this. Is where I think we do our best work. But so in the last year and a hook, we did 80-something episodes on the podcast in the last year. And so looking back on those episodes, we had a couple people in studio. We had Joel Glotfeldt in twice. We had in Jimmy Nutrition, Jim Hallinan, and we also had in Jonathan Matthew in the studio. So we had a couple guests in the studio. Most of them were via Zoom, and a couple of them were just you and I. Had Denny in the studio, which was really cool.
We had our sisters in the studio. Which if you haven't seen it yet, you can go on and check out the YouTube video of us remaking. We have one comment, and I think it says, "This is trash."
This is garbage.
We've never got a YouTube comment before, and that's the only one on every single.
This is garbage.
It's excellent.
That was really great. I was like, oh my god, like something popped in, like you have a comment, and I'm like, oh wow, maybe it's like Alec Baldwin or Molly Shannon or someone. It's like
tagged them all.
Anna Gasteyer is commenting like, you guys did a great job. No, it was like, you know, Sweaty Boy 219 and said, this is garbage.
Johnny jerks off a lot. Decided to write that it was trash.
So what is a highlight or two that you've had in the studio over the last year?
Oh boy. Well, I think when let me think. I think when we first had Chase Tuning on, was he one of the first ones that we did in here?
He was in the top, like going back that time, Chase Tuning, Matthew Pates, Mike Bledsoe. Yeah, it was all right. Like those three guys were all in that same time frame. Yeah. Paul Roseberry.
That's right. We did like a lot. We would end up having like 5 or 6 in a row when we'd be here. But I remember him because he was a big guest that we had on. And I was just like, I didn't know what, the limelight got to me. I don't think I said a word. I don't think I was breathing the whole time. But that was that moment like, oh my God, like this is really happening. And then that scared the crap out of me. And from there, after I got over that initial hump of being freaked out by it, then having Bledsoe on, who I've listened to my entire life, and then he was there right in front of us, and that was a big moment for me too. And I remember you told me when we got him on, you messaged me.
Yeah.
You were like, dude, you got to call me back.
Yeah.
You're never going to guess who we got on.
Yep.
And that was the first time we were interviewing someone that I've grown up listening to, and that it was like, a celebrity for me. So that was a big deal.
It's cool when you think about back then, we were constantly throwing our line out in the water, trying to reel in guests. It was like, can you introduce me to this person? Or we would go and introduce ourselves, like, this is what we're doing, to where we've come to now that people are knocking on the door saying, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast, or we're getting their assistant to send a bio of them. This is why you should have them on the podcast. It's pretty cool to think about in a year's time frame, how far that's come. To me, a couple things that stand out. One, as far as guests are concerned, moments for me were the captain, having Kyle Creek on.
Dude, that was awesome. That was legendary.
Yeah. It was like the first podcast that he had done in like the last 3 years, and right now he's blowing up. He's on all these different podcasts. Like, he is an unbelievable dude. I don't remember. I think it was episode 104. If you want to go back and listen, that was absolutely outstanding having the captain on.
Yeah.
And just messing around with him.
And he was so easy to talk to. Like, he was so like down with our humor, and he could just hang the whole time.
Because I think we did it to where I was like, I found something on Instagram. He's 35 years old now. I'm like, 35 life lessons you've learned in 35 years. And I was like, there was one that was really inspirational. I could say, like, he's like, all right, whatever. It's about like being authentic or something. I was like, you said hippos are fucking dicks. And once I said that, he started like laughing, like, all right, I see what kind of humor these guys are coming with. And then he just rolled with it. It was really cool. That was a big one for me. Anthony Trucks was a big one. He's like my guy. He's the guy that I listen to his podcast all the time, read his book. Like, he's a guy that I find he's speaking to me when he speaks. Nick Santanastasso for me was a really, really cool guest to have on. Nick is just a machine of a human being. And what I liked about that one was when I asked him about his penis, I mean, like, I'll throw it out there. I was like, Nick, you're on skateboards and surfboards and whatever. And Nick was born with hand-heart syndrome. So he has no legs, one arm and one finger on the one arm. The story is absolutely crazy too, his story. And I was like, doesn't that hurt your junk? And his reaction was like, he was so appreciative that we just were treating him like a dude, like bellying up to a bar, having a beer. Like, doesn't that hurt your balls, dude? He's like, no. He's like, I have little stumps, and I pull my balls up close.
And he wears compression shorts. And
he's like, no, it's all good. But he told us afterwards, like, hey, man, I really appreciate you asking me that question. He's like, some people are afraid to really ask questions that they're interested in. So that was another big moment for me in the studio.
Yeah. And then it was a little weird when you put your hands up and told him, when should I stop?
Yeah.
How big is it? That's where he was like, all right, man.
He's like, and a hook.
Yeah, and a hook. Yeah. It's that and a hook. But that was and I feel like we've had so many people on that I forget about that were impactful, that were just crazy conversations where, like, and I've said this to you when we're done with the podcast, where I'm like, I forgot that we were doing an interview, and thank God you're there half the time, because my mouth's open and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy information. This guy's like I'm just listening to a podcast, but in reality we're recording it. And that's what fucks me up the most is I'm like, wait, I should probably respond at some point rather than just sitting here drooling and just, waiting for the next thing they're going to say.
And you've come a long way in the questioning and your conversations. When you first started, I'll bring it back to Chris Farley. You were like Chris Farley interviewing.
Remember?
Like, you remember when you were in the Beatles and Paul McCartney's like, yes. You remember when you said the love you take is equal to the love you make? Yes.
That was
awesome.
That was awesome. That was awesome. There would be no question. It was just a statement that would just be like, I love that. Right. And then they're like, nice.
Thank you.
Thanks. And I'm like, shit, that's right.
And it's funny when we were talking about it, there were times, and we had to come up with nonverbal signals between us in the studio, so I know when you were going to ask a question, so it wasn't like us stepping at each other's toes, like fumbling over it. But then I was like, all right, Anthony's going to ask a question right now. So I was able to take like a little bit of a pause thinking what my next question's going to be. But then you just affirm something like, wow, I really, really loved what you said because that really resonated with me. So thank you. I love it. And they're like, thank you.
Thanks.
And I'm like, shit, I got to ask a question.
I got to come up with something. I know. Dude, still to this day, I get nervous about it. I get anxious, like before, and that's what always freaked me out is when I would grab the mic. Now it's like, oh shit, I gotta ask a question.
Yeah.
It's like it's out there, and it would all of a sudden my heart rate starts going. I start to freak out. All the limiting beliefs come up, the negative self-talk, and it still comes up, but it's easier for me now to do it, and I know I need to do it, so I force myself to do it. But it literally just took practice, and I would sit there and I'd be panicking, and I wouldn't know what to say, and I would think I'm gonna fuck it up, and but just like anything else, the more that you do it, the easier that it gets, and the more that I lean into that fear, the less loud that it is, and it's not as scary every time that I do it. But I needed to do it. I needed to say something. And I remember I would beat myself up all the time if I was like, shit, I wanted to ask something and I didn't because I was scared.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I would think about that for the next 3 days versus if I'd say something and maybe I fucked it up or whatever I thought, I could get over that way quicker than the regret of me not speaking or saying something.
Yeah. It's wild, right? It's like Fearvana. Like
it's exactly the same thing.
We had a conversation this week as you were going through like something challenging, and I was like, download this book and listen to it. You need to hear this book right now. And a shout out to Akshay Nanavate. I mean, to me, I love saying his name.
Fucking name, dude.
And right now he's in Iceland. They're doing some weird training.
Of course,
in
he's
Iceland
in fucking
right now.
Iceland.
And so they're in Iceland right now. He's with Kevin Demmons from Scarred and Unbeaten. They're out there and they're training for something that he's going to do. I don't know. I don't even know what the next thing is.
I wish you would say he's watching Netflix at home in Central Jersey. Yeah.
Yep. I want him to just like I mentioned, like, can you just put your feet up and just, rock on a rocking
chair. Take it easy for a little bit.
Settle down. Like enjoy
Watch
the
a
view.
Movie.
Nope. He's like, yeah, I'm relaxing. I'm on top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
I made a hammock out of like sticks and berries, and I'm on the top of Mount Everest.
I whittled this out of beech wood, and now I'm traveling across the country on it.
It's a chuppah.
It's a chuppah?
To me, my favorite part of being here, and the audience doesn't get to hear it as much. There would be times that you and I would go down. It would usually be after 2 interviews with the fluorescent lights in here, and we would get punch drunk. We had enough, and we would throw something out and just start laughing, and we could not stop. It's one of those experiences where you belly laugh, and you, no matter what it is, and you're kind of like, you have that like where you're like laughing and you can't get your breath, and you're like, ooh, after
it's like picture when you were in middle school trying to do a presentation with one of your best friends, or like you're in the back of the class and the teacher tells you stop laughing, and you just look at your friend and you start busting, and all they got to do is kind of turn around and give you that like side eye, and you are dying. And the fact that we would try and like hold it in, it was making it just blow up even more. Dude.
And there's been so many moments like that in the studio where we were doing, I forget, I mean, different voices that we were doing. And then the one you mentioned, Chase Tuning, and with all like love and respect towards Chase Tuning, that the moment we never published this, but we went off on just like the CHCH, and
it was it plays so nicely together that we just Chase Tuning, and we choose you, Chase Tuning.
And we did that for like 40 minutes, and we could not stop laughing.
It was 38 minutes longer than anyone should ever do that, but we couldn't stop, and I couldn't stop laughing. And it was literally like a drug at that point.
Really,
like I was so, dude.
It's probably one of the hardest I've laughed in my entire life.
Yeah.
And Julie was saying to me, she's like, what you guys need to do is just jump on and talk about something, and then just clip the funny parts of it. And I was like, well, that's an hour long at least with us together, right? Yeah. But I agree. I think that there's so many moments where we're together, we just like shit comes up, and our, being brothers and all the shit that we've been through, and just our senses of humor. I love that idea.
I know. It pairs very nicely together, and I think that's one of our strong points, is the fact that we are funny. We are funny individuals.
And we could still bring the inspirational stuff. We can bring the motivational. We'll bring the noise. We can bring the noise and bring the whatever. Bring the hook.
Bring the noise and the hook. That doesn't sound like we're bringing much there, but
like many fish is a fish with noise and hooks.
There we go.
So you're about to make a big life transition, which is, it's all like coming together. Like you're leaving on a new journey in a week and a half from now. This is our last day in studio. We actually have a spot closer to home. It'll be a way better studio that we'll be in the future, but you will likely not be there very often in studio. You'll be via Zoom or whatever as we're doing podcasts in the future. So where are you going? What are you doing? What's your next step?
I am going to Charlotte, North Carolina. Ooh boy.
Yeah.
So I ended up I was working at this job that I fucking hated, and I just was miserable every day. So I finally started. I was like, all right, I feel like I've given it the good college try at this job. It's time to start looking for another one. So I just got out of an interview, and my cell phone was on airplane mode. I turned it back on, and I get a text from one of these kids that I used to work with. He was like, bro, give me a call right away. So I call him up, and he told me that he has this job opportunity for me at this gym in North Carolina. And he was like, I can get an interview if you want. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was at this moment that I was at, like, arguably a very low point in my life, and I hated the interview that I just went on. Like, it was at some bullshit place that I didn't really want to work, but I just went on it because I wanted to go on an interview, and I felt like it was time to do that. And right when that happened, that popped up, and then it just sort of, dominoed into the next thing, and then I got offered a job at one of the gyms down there. And the amazing thing is, like, it's scaring the crap out of me, right? It's a huge transition for me. It's like I'm going from living where I am right now, my whole family's here, all my friends are here, everybody, to not knowing anyone.
Yeah.
And moving to a different state. But 8 months ago, this is pretty much what I manifested. This is what I wanted. If I could have wrote down, which I'm pretty sure I did somewhere, that what I wanted to move to Florida. I wanted to work at a gym. I wanted to live on my own. I wanted to be with my dog. I wanted to be in warm weather. I wanted all of these things.
And you drove down to Florida. You went down to Florida and spent time down there with, like, Amish family or something.
An Amish family. That's right. For a week. Yeah. I was just like, and I had no idea. I had nothing on my agenda.
Butter in Florida with an Amish family.
They made donuts for me, actually.
Who knew that Florida had an Amish population?
Dude, I found the only Amish population in Florida was the place that I was staying, and I was like, why is this so cheap? And I walked in, and everybody's on tricycles. I don't know if people know this, but the Amish just only ride around tricycles, I guess. But I don't.
It was like BYOE, bring your own electricity.
Yeah, dude, it was just, and I didn't know what the deal is. I didn't know. I felt like a little weird. Like, are these people nice? Am I do they want to convert me? Like, what's my, I don't know how it works. I don't know. Am I like, but
what would you call it? Convert you to Amish? Is it like,
is it just
Amishism? Is it like,
I have no idea.
Convert you Amish?
What is their religion?
I'm going to convert you Amish.
I'm going to convert. You're going to be Amishified. I'm confused because what is, like, the do's and don'ts of the Amish world? How does that work? Because I saw somebody on a fucking cell phone taking a picture, and I'm like, well, this is bullshit.
Right.
And here's another thing. I saw so weird, dude. First, I wish I could paint this picture for you, because literally it was within like a 3-mile radius of where I was staying, and I was wondering why it was so cheap to stay here. It just didn't make any sense. And literally I was embedded inside of an Amish community, and I don't know where there's any other Amish community, but every single person here, it was insane, which that's fine. I have nothing against them, but I clearly stuck out. And I'm walking down the street, and this is when it hit me, like, I ain't in the right neighborhood.
Kansas anymore.
Yeah, and I turn around and I see a midget Amish woman walk, like, behind me, and I was like, "What the? How many midget Amish women do you think are in the world?"
You manifested that shit when you were in college. I know. I
wrote
that
down. I was like, I gotta make this happen. This is on my bucket list to fucking get a.
So go ahead. All right. So midget Amish woman behind you.
And it was, well, that's when, that in that moment right there, it kind of freaked me out. Like, this is, where the hell am I? What's going on? Like, where I don't belong here. But I was curious, like, where, like, what can they do? What can't they do? Is it all like electronics? Is it they just don't drive? Is that what it is? Or is it sort of, has it grown to where, like, they're adapting a little bit, but not really?
And who's in charge of making those decisions? Like, is there like an Amish council? Do they have like the elders of the Amish organization?
Because there was like, it's very family oriented. As far as I was concerned, it seemed like every family had their little business that they ran right within the area.
Right.
And then, is it like religious based? Is it based on like a?
I want to know the answer to this. I don't have.
I know.
To
there was so much that I didn't understand, and
do the Florida Amish communicate with the Pennsylvania Amish? Like that's my experience. Is the people in like Lancaster County, the Amish in that area? Like that's what I knew of. But is there communication? Do they have like a long string with the cups on either end where they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do, Brother Jebediah. Yeah. And then like he communicates back via the cup string telephone.
It's possible. I have no idea, but it was very interesting. And anyway, so yeah, I did that. I drove to Florida to try and figure out, because that's what I wanted to do. And I freaked out. I was like, it was great for what it was. But that's what I thought that I wanted. And then I drove back and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm not ready for this in this moment. But then that came on my plate maybe like 5 months after that or so.
Yeah.
And again, it was exactly what I constructed. And then all of a sudden, all of my limiting beliefs and my negative self-talk started to pop up right when I heard that. I was like, oh shit, I can't do this. Like, this is too much. I'm not gonna be able to move. I'm not gonna be able to handle this. And I'm like, dude, this is what I wanted. And now I can either listen to it and lean into it, or believe my lower self telling me that, it just wants to stay in this comfort and complacency that I've been in for most of my life.
So really quickly, I just don't want to let this pass. When you said it was really cheap you go on whatever website that you went on and you're like, Dan, it's, Florida, I'm going down there. It's only $50. I'm like, $50 a night? That's unbelievable. You're like, no, $50 for 7 nights.
That's right.
I'm going down there for $50 for 7 nights. I'm like, that's like $7 a night. And you go into the place and they hand you like a pitchfork and there's a bale of hay. And they're like, okay, Brother Anthony, make your bed.
Yeah. And there was an initiation process. And I didn't read the fine print. And it probably didn't help that I was on AmishApartments.com.
Right.
So, I don't know this stuff. I'm just, some Jersey kid, some dope walking
It's not that far from AmishMidgetWomen.com that you're typically on.
Well, that was a dating app that I found right when I got there. I was like, holy shit, this is a thing. Let's see who's out there. It was just that one woman and we didn't match. So, fuck.
Better luck next time. There are like 6 more in the entire world.
I know, and I'm going to find them. God damn it. That's the last thing I do.
All right, so I just made up a quick game in my head that you're going to play right now. Okay. And you're not allowed to say nothing or I don't know. You have to give an answer to each one of these questions. So this is North Carolina trivia. You're going to be in North Carolina. Carolina. Yeah, that's what you're going to be. Not Carolinite. You're going to be a Carolina.
North Carolina.
Okay, that's what you're going to be.
I feel like this is doing them a disservice, because I don't know if I feel like everyone just assumes when we're living up north that anywhere below this, like below Maryland or Delaware, Maryland is below Delaware.
It's below Delaware.
God, yes. Okay. Yeah. Anywhere.
And like if Delaware goes out, it's like a hook on the side. It's like a hook state.
Yeah. Nice little hook state. It's like my Schwarz. Yeah. Anywhere below that, it's just they have a southern accent.
Well, they think anybody that's in north of us talks like they're from the Bronx.
Yeah,
or from Brooklyn.
Yeah, fuck you guys. All right,
we're even now.
Okay.
All right. So, what I would like to know first is, and you have to give an answer.
Okay. Carolina.
Yeah. Use whatever accent. So you're going to tell us first the North Carolina state bird. What is it?
It's the yellow Jester bird.
All right.
I'll try and do them faster.
The yellow Jester bird. All right. What is the North Carolina signature dish?
Oh, that's going to be grits, biscuit, and a little bit of sweet honey.
Who is the governor of North Carolina currently?
Oh, I just fucking looked this up.
Did you really?
I swear to God, yeah. It's.
Is it Jesse the Body Ventura?
What's his voice like?
Man, he's like it's like that deep like
Jesse. Yeah, he just kind of screams into it. That's gonna be John Helderman, a wonderful Christian boy.
And then finally, it's the North Carolina state motto that you know.
Oh well, that's if it doesn't fit in your mouth, it's probably gonna fit somewhere else. Just keep trying. That's
the motto from North Carolina.
That's the motto.
Oh, do you remember when people from North Carolina would listen to this
I
the
know, I'm
podcast? Those were the
And
days.
you're adding one more of these assholes to your crew of people down there.
Oh, it's
They
absolutely
don't want
amazing.
me. I'm giving Jerseyans a bad name here.
Right. It's like you always say. What do you
Like
always
I
say?
always say, try it up front or go in the back door.
You're really
Like
obsessed
front
with
back and like
yeah,
mouth
like
butt. Yeah.
a lot of
It's like
sexual
the yin and
innuendo.
yang. Yeah, I like to go like the polarities between
Okay.
the two.
You went
If you're
down that
not going
road.
down,
Down
you
that
got to get
road.
back up. Yeah, once you're done going down, get your ass back up again.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss this in studio. This
I
has been
know.
this has been a good time. It really has been. It's been a cool journey. I'm really proud that you're doing this. It's awesome. It's like I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss bullshitting with you in person. It's like it's emotional. The last day in the studio, it's emotional that it'll be our last time doing a podcast in person here together. We'll definitely do one in the future where the studio will be. But I'm glad you're doing this. I think it's awesome. And we talked this morning. I was on my walk getting ready to do my Spartan training this morning, and we were on the phone, and I was like, we're probably going to talk on the phone more when you're in North Carolina than we do right now. We talk almost every single day. We're
I
like
know.
teenage girls on the phone right now.
Yeah. I make sure that we get our little, 20-minute just bicker in. So
Yeah.
what are you doing? Here's what I'm doing with my legs crossed, on the bed. But yeah, this is the stuff that I'll miss, like the in-between podcasts of just like bullshitting
Yeah.
and being here and kind of like essentially living in this room for the last year and spending so much time together. And I couldn't ask for anything better with how this played out, because everything that happened to allow us to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that can spend every day with their brother, their best friend, and do it talking to people and bullshitting with them just about random stuff.
Yep.
And like, I didn't give a crap if anybody listened to it, because it was just like,
It was
I
fun.
wouldn't trade this for
Yeah.
the world. You know what I mean? And like, some people can go their whole lives and never connect with their siblings like we connect with each other. And I just appreciate it so much. And whatever ends up happening, I know that we'll end up coming back to a moment where we're doing podcasts in
Yes.
person together. It will happen again. And for now, this is just kind of, we're like going in the same direction essentially, but we're the one thing I say, like the two horses. Remember, I was talking about the horses on the same path. I almost went down that, but we're veering off, but we're in the same direction right
Yeah.
now, and it's just nice that we got to do as much as we could together, and we're going to continue to do stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. It's all good things.
Absolutely. So, do you have a one thing for people? One thing, if somebody stops listening, they could do to change their life?
Yeah, honestly, and this is the thing that I've been working on, is the belief. And I know that we just talked to the guy Ryan today, and it's believing that you can be the person that you want to be, like today, like just taking on and embodying that in how every messy action that you take, believe that you're worthy of doing that. Because for myself, I just kept trying to get all of these external things outside of myself. So I would try and work out more, hit a PR, or eat this way, or get a new job, or live somewhere else, or get a new apartment, whatever the hell it was, in hopes of getting away from my limiting belief.
Mhm.
But it all came down, the end of the equation was always the same. It was that limiting belief. So rather, what I've been trying to do, and what I think people should try and do every single day, is take that limiting belief and flip it on its head. And for me, it's being more confident. So if I can live my life and say, what does a confident person do? How do they show up every single day? Are they passive, or are they assertive? Are they direct with their conversations? Are they decisive? And so I'm like, this is what a confident person, how they would approach every single moment. And I do that enough to provide myself with the evidence that I am confident. And maybe in the beginning I'm faking it, or I'm borrowing it from someone else, but I'm using my imagination, like, this is what confidence is. And then I could start to believe that, because that belief, he just showed us in the last podcast, that's all it takes, is just that belief in yourself, and starting there versus assuming that the goal is going to get you the belief, because sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot. Building men of character, integrity, strength, compassion, and empathy through transformational mentoring, coaching, and motivational speaking is our mission here at Building Men.
To work with me as a one-on-one life coach, you can find information in the show notes, or you can visit our website at buildingmen.io, where you can book a free 30-minute discovery call to help you become the strongest version of yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Now, back to the show.
What about you?
To me, it's I've gone back and forth with this. I really believe it's waking up with like the intention to do something in service of other people, like really spending time, like adding value to other people's lives. We had Jeffrey Oakes on back in November time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Great dude, but he talked about, hey, just reach out and say you're thinking about someone. And I do that. I will, honest to God, I do that every single day, multiple times a day. I will reach out to someone and just say, hey, hope all's well. I'm thinking about you. Hope you're having a good day today. Let me know if I could do anything to help you. Just, and with no other reason than just like, that might be something that someone needs. And some people probably look like, oh, this fucking guy again. You got to be kidding me. Like, but there are some people that have reached back out like, I really needed to hear that today. So Mark Picard, I reached out to him last week, and he had a tough run. He was out in France for a while trying to produce a movie or a show out there, came back to Spain. And he just happened to listen to the message, and he reached back out to me. He's like, I really needed to hear this today. He said, the fact that you were thinking about me, asking me how things were going and if there's anything that you could do, he's like, I was having a tough day and I really needed to hear this. And so him saying that to me, like, validated the importance of doing that. And I do it like it makes me feel good, like self-servingly. It makes me feel good when I reach out to someone saying like, hey man, I'm thinking about you. It puts me in a positive mindset. It sets me in a good space. Like I just have this energy around like, all right, I'm thinking about another person. I reached out, like hopefully that helps them in some capacity. But if you're doing something in service of other people, like it enriches your life in a really positive way. So there's a million things that I could pick from, but that's something that I definitely do every single day. That's beyond like a habit, or it's beyond like a cold shower, or like, meditating.
Right.
That's something that anyone could do tomorrow. Just pick up your phone, send a message, send an email, send a letter to someone. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Hope all is well with you. That could have a ripple effect that goes well beyond anything you could have initially intended.
And it takes just one person for that to change their life. Like you reach them in that point where they are at their lowest, and and you don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. But when you do that, you could have completely changed the path, or even just their day, as simple as that. But that's enough to do it all the time. And maybe it starts out self-serving, but I think part of one of our human needs is serving others. Like we do this not for the fame, the success, all of that is well and good, but after that, it's about serving others. It's about giving back. It's about giving your wisdom and knowledge to others, or just telling them that you're thinking about them in some way. And I know that for me, I wish that I had that in certain points of my life and didn't have that, and there were certain times where it aligned, where someone would reach out, would just feel energetically that I was in need of that. And it completely changed my day around. Everything went differently because someone said, hey, how you doing? You want to talk? And I just start crying my eyes out, because all they did was just ask me how I'm doing.
Right.
And there's people who are on the brink of suicide, and no one asked them that. And it could have prevented that moment right there, just from someone saying, I care about you. People care about you. There's just so much value in that. And it goes so much further than just asking how someone's day is. It completely changed their life in that moment.
Who is the UFC fighter, Patty?
Yeah, the guy who just fought.
And like that went viral. Like afterwards, he talked about that he had a friend over the past week who committed suicide, and he was like, listen, especially for men, it's so tough to reach out for help if you're struggling, but do that. Like, let's normalize those conversations. If you're struggling with something, reach out to someone. Like, even if you're listening and you've never met us before, send us a message, send us an email, like just saying like, hey, I need help. I need someone to talk to right now. And if we can't help you, we'll put you in the direction of someone that can.
And it's like, even if for me, when going through my spells of depression and anxiety that I constantly battle, and it comes in waves, my thought is always, I'm alone in this. No one understands how I feel. No one's feeling this same way. No one gets it. I'm the only one. I'm stupid for feeling this. I all of a sudden just start playing this vicious cycle, this loop from hell. But in reality, there's so many people that feel the same exact way that we feel on a day-to-day basis, but they just don't ever talk about it. They keep it inside, they internalize it, and then it builds up until the point where they feel like the only way out is to end it all. And that's not the case. And there is so many outlets, and there's so many people that are going through the same stuff you are. Me in particular, I go through all of these things on a day-to-day basis, and I make sure to reach out to people and to be vulnerable and to be authentic and to make sure that I voice when I don't feel good in this moment, because now I'll never let myself get to that point where I'm in that dark hole and I can't get out.
Right. And then you don't talk to somebody. I remember you had a conversation with me around your birthday when you turned 30, and you were like, I was in a really, really dark spot, like in the past couple months. And I was like, why didn't you talk to me about it? And now, like, this most recent bout that you had, you reached out to me. You're like, listen, I need to talk. I'm really struggling right now.
Yeah.
So just the growth that's happened with you and recognizing that you can lean into other people during that time. Yeah, powerful stuff right there. The one big question that I have as you're moving down to North Carolina, currently, one of the ways that you're making money is you go down to the beach and you rub lotion on the lower back of elderly men. What are they going to do now for their UV ray protection?
Well, I have a stand-in for the moment, and I've been upping my
your rate
rub downs. No, I've just been doing it more often. I kept my rate the same because I wanted, to make sure that. But I'm giving them like. I used to just do once a week. Now I'm doing multiple a week. I'm making sure that they can get their
heat
fix.
in Jersey right now has really helped out your business.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, you can't make this up.
What lotion do you use again? I forget the lotion.
It's the sweet buttercream. And it's been extremely lucrative, and I feel terrible. But you know what? All good things have to come to an end, and I'm hoping I have enough testimonials that this can kind of bleed into North Carolina. And
why not?
I'm putting it out there that I'm also open to midget Amish women. Whoever really needs a good lotion rub down from a strong, capable man, I'm willing and able and here, and I'm hoping it'll pick up when I get there.
Who's just within the average range and a hook.
That's right. Whatever the average is, add a hook onto that, and that's your boy. That's your boy right there.
So this episode was brought to you by the yellow Jester bird of North Carolina.
Yellow Jester bird. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my head.
It's got to be in the title.
Yellow Jester bird. I don't know why that came up, but it's.
So can you take us out and to the sponsors? But you have to add in Chop Club for Men, Dave Robinson.
Yeah.
Chop Club for Men. You have to add that in there somewhere.
All right.
But do the you want to do the outro to the podcast in our last ever studio?
Oh man. All right.
It's a lot. Do you want to do like a practice run?
Thank you for listening to the Building Men podcast. Building Men is brought to you by FTR Apparel. Get your apparel. Become Stronger Industries for your badass maces and steel products. And the Chop Club, our boy Dave Robinson, chopping it up with the Chop Man. You ever get like the little fill-ins they say? And go one step further until you go.
Nailed it.
With all your steel tchotchkes that you're gonna be.
Oh, it's so good.
It was terrible.
No, it was excellent. It's exactly what we needed to end our experience here. All right. Oh, it's so good. I love hearing you do the
I'm so bad at like on a whim like that when you just ask me. I panic, and that's so unlike me because I am confident.
Do you want to do one more time? You want to do now that you had like your trial run through?
Dry run. We're gonna do a sweet cream butter run. Thank you for listening to the Building Men podcast. Building Men is brought to you by FTR Apparel and Become Stronger Industries for badass steel maces and steel equipment. And the Chop Club with none other than Dave Robinson. Chop it up, my man. Keep on chopping. Can't do it. Go one step further than you thought you could. Do it up. Go. Go. Oh, fuck.
We'll see you next time on
Building Men.
Building Men.